The Sunday after Christmas is always the Feast of the Holy Family, and a very appropriate time, a wonderful time really to take a few moments to reflect on the importance, the meaning of family life, and the relationship within family. Probably in our culture, family life is in trouble by and large, as we see many dissolving of marriages and families suffering the effects of that. It can be extremely painful. And family life is a very cornerstone, not only of our faith, but really upon our country. Our country really is built in part on the structure of family life. Family life not only for the advancement of society, but for the continuation of our society and the growth of society all stems from family life. And at times, priests are criticized for trying to talk about family life because, we're not married and we don't have kids. I don't know where everyone thinks priests come from. If the sky's open, we just fall out of it. I don't know. But, believe it or not, we grew up in a family. So we kind of know what that's like. And believe it or not, we still have our families. We haven't eliminated everyone we're related to just because we're ordained. And in a very unique way, we interact with many, many families and have the privilege to be part of a deeper, more intimate relationship with many families, given the nature of who we are. So this evening, I'd like to just share a few thoughts with you about family life. I call them the 10 Commandments of family life. They're not rooted in any great philosopher or theologian. They're not related in any great psychologist. They're my own observations. So you can feel free to refute them if you dare later on. Number one, the family that prays together stays together. It's a beautiful principle, really. First commandment, the family that prays together stays together. As I look at my own upbringing, as a family, we prayed together every day. In the morning, we knelt together as a family. In the evening, we knelt together as a family, and we prayed together. We always went to church together, not only Sunday Mass, but we also went to all of the novenas and devotions and Stations of the Cross and everything else that went on over at Assumption Church. We were there together as a family. And that importance of praying the rosary together as a family or reading the scripture together as a family, the importance of just sharing faith together as a family is key. And I can't urge families enough to pray together. And I particularly urge my brothers, the fathers of families, to really take the bull by the horns, so to speak, and lead prayer within your own family, within your own household. Second commandment is parents love your children and children love your parents, both directions. I really am often amazed at the number of our young people that I interact with who will tell me, I know that my parents must love me, but I do not hear that word very often. And particularly, I think as our young people grow to be teenagers, particularly I notice it with teenage guys in the relationship with their dad, that four-letter word, love, is not often used. And how important it is to say to one another daily with meaning that you love one another. Every day when my parents were alive, we told each other that we loved one another. I don't remember a day where we did not say that and truly mean it. So I would say the second commandment is use that four-letter word, love, and on a daily basis really genuinely tell each other that you love one another, particularly as our children grow into the teenage years. Very key for them to know, be reaffirmed in that. Thirdly, I'd advise parents to listen to your children. You know, there's another old phrase, out of the mouths of babes. You know, sometimes as adults we're a little too politically correct and we're a little too polite. And very often, if you have a little one in the family, as the family is discussing some problem, they blurt out the God's honest truth at the worst possible moment because everyone gets embarrassed. How many of you have ever seen that happen? You know, absolutely. But we need sometimes to listen to our children because they really do have a wisdom. And very often, they are not inhibited to speak the truth. And we need to listen to that truth at times. Number 4, and probably on a practical level very serious, is for parents, grandparents, for all of us as adults to really teach our children skills to cope. I think in our contemporary culture and for some time already, we have constantly taken away consequences. And because of that, when our young people get to a certain age and they are confronted with a real crisis, often they do not know how to cope. Now, anybody who's my age or older, what would have happened to you if you came home from school and found out that the school had called that you were in trouble? How many of you think you were in at least double trouble at home? Right? What happens today? Often the school is criticized for not knowing how to do its job. I have been a pastor of a parish with a school a long time. I know what goes on because I get the phone calls. And we try to take the consequences away from our young people for actions that they have done. But the reality of it is a time period comes that they're no longer going to turn to competent adults. They'll turn to their peers for advice, and they do not know how to cope. Year after year after year, one of the number one causes of death of our teenagers in the United States is what? Suicide. And often, not always, but often, the rooting is an inability to cope with problems. We need to teach our children to cope. Number 5, I encourage parents to be parents to their children and not friends. I am amazed over and over again the number of children who call their parents by their first names. If I pulled that at 70 Howell Street, I would have been the guest of honor at the funeral parlor. And it would have fallen under the policy, if we brought you into the world, we can take you out. You know that policy. So that level of respect is so very important. And I think for parents really to certainly be loving parents, of course, but not to be your children's friend, to really hold them accountable. You know, the dangers today, which have existed for some time, of the internet, the iPhones and all of these phones that you can beam in anything you want at any moment from the internet, you know, computers in their rooms, very dangerous things. And I do not envy the role of parents today because I think your real responsibility is daily to be checking what they're looking at. I would go through the phone daily and check the log, see what's going on. I would not allow wireless internet in my house nor a computer in a bedroom because of the many, many dangers that are present there. Parents, we encourage you really to be parents today. It's very important. One of my great fears for our youth today, by and large, not every single one of them, but by and large as a generation, I'm not sure how capable they will be of lifelong marriage. When you quantify the level of immorality available a click away on the computer, being used now from junior high on up, the latest statistics. It's creating a conditioning and a morality that will contradict the ability to live long-term marriage. It's very important, the role of parents today, to be true parents. Number 6, for parents again, and the teenagers probably will hate me, but I get over it. You really need to know your children's friends. One of the beautiful things growing up in the old city is that everybody knew everybody, and you knew who was at whose house because the parents were in constant communication, if not from one porch to the other on the telephone, and everybody knew everyone. And I think very important for parents today to truly know not only your children's friends, but the parents and what morality goes on in their homes as well. My mother and father always said, "You're no better than the company you keep." I'm sure you've heard that one many a time, and there's a lot of truth to that. Know your children's friends and the parents of your children's friends. Number 7, certainly again for parents and your great responsibility to know where your children are at all times. We don't have the problem out here in Williamsville so much, but I have seen it. Late at night, young people walk in the streets. It's not as prominent as it is perhaps in the city, but it is something that takes place here. And I often wonder how often parents genuinely know exactly where your children are. And if they're telling you they're going to be at this person's home, call the house on something called a landline, not your kid's cell phone, a landline, and see if they're really there periodically. It's a beautiful thing to do. They may get angry at you, but at the end of the day, it shows that you do love them and care about them. Number 8, and I think this is beautiful, and I see a lot of this in our area here, allow your home to be a home for your children to have their friends come over. It just seems like every group of friends has that one house that becomes the meeting place, and many of us have the basements finished off, and we give it over to the young people, and they should have their own little space to be able to enjoy time together. But very key to allow your home to be that open invitation at all times for the friends of your children, because you're in watchful eye, you're nearby. It's very important. Allow them their space, but there's a watchful eye. Number 9, I encourage parents and children to sit and set goals together, and for parents to really affirm what your children are good at doing. In 22 years of being a priest, if I had $1 for every time I have heard a parent brag justly or a grandparent brag justly about their student, their child, their son, their daughter, their grandchild who graduated at the top of the class, was the valedictorian, was straight A's, I'd be driving, several different Mercedes or BMWs and paid cash for them. I never hear about the average kid. I don't. I very rarely hear someone say, well, my son, my daughter really struggles in school, and gee, for them to get a C or a B is really hard work, but we're so proud of them because it's hard for them. I think it's very important that we recognize all of the accomplishments and have bragging rights for all of our young people and their many wonderful accomplishments. And to encourage many of our young people who maybe struggle academically to really pursue beautiful careers and trades. Remember, in a former assignment, there was a young person struggled with school, wanted to be a mechanic. He could have taken the car apart and put the whole thing back together again. I'm lucky if I know where to put the gas and the oil. And this guy, though, he could do it. And his parents did everything to force him to go to college. And he was very frustrated, And we need mechanics. We need tool and die makers. We need people in the beautiful trades today who have a gift. And many of our young people are gifted in those beautiful areas. So we need to really set these goals together and really genuinely see what our talents and abilities, successes our young people have. And the 10th commandment, the final commandment, is focus on the family. I probably quoted this to you before. It was a TV commercial from Topps. Years ago, I don't know what they were advertising, but it was from Topps. And it was a scene of a mother in the dining room. She was setting the dining room table. She had the nice linen out, the nice china out, the crystal, the silverware, everything. And the husband comes in, and the son and the daughter, and they all say, like, who's coming to dinner and what's going on? And the mother just looks at them and says, a husband without a late meeting, a daughter without dance class, and a son without soccer practice. Focus on the family. It's very important. We lead busy lives, and our young people lead very busy lives. It's nothing sinful to say no. You can choose one sport this time to play. You can choose to be in the play or in sports, to maybe scale back a little and really enjoy the time together as a family, to at least have one night a week that you can sit as a family and share a meal, where you're not rushing off somewhere, or to be able to sit and just have conversation, play a game, or spend some time as a family in prayer. I know times are a little different than when I grew up today. I remember growing up every day, dinner hour was an hour, and we were all together. It's very unique to see that today. But maybe at least once a week, to have that dinner hour really be an hour, and to really allow that time to be quality time, to enjoy focusing and being a family. Some simple thoughts for you to consider as we reflect upon the Holy Family and the meaning and the importance, the value of our own family life.